Welcome back. It is a sunny morning here in lower Alabama. We basically have to get out in the morning and work before it gets too steamy and hot. It's starting to feel like summer now. We kind of have this two-season thing going on, spring and fall. And we're leveraging those two seasons to grow us more calories. So let me show you how we're doing that, because I think you're going to find it rather fascinating. This weedy mess of trellis right here has two crops in it. I did a short showing this not that long ago where I was doing an experiment, right? So on the trellis itself, you can see our true yam species coming up. This is Dioscorea. These are all probably Dioscorea alata. But alongside on this mound, I thought, wow, we've got all this empty space. Those yams had not come up. And in late winter, it's time to plant potatoes here. So we planted Adirondack Blue potatoes on either side. So we've been pulling them this morning and getting a pretty nice yield out of this space. They're dying back, they're almost done. And we were pulling the ones that looked really dead. And as we go further down this row, I think we put another variety down here because these are not ready to pull. And one like this right here is ready. We can pull that right now. So the yams are climbing up through this trellis in the center, but they didn't even emerge until about a month ago. And by that point, the potatoes were well growing. Normally you wouldn't mix two root crops in the same space because they're gonna compete. But these yams were sleeping and they're just barely getting running now at this time that we were pulling out all of these beautiful potatoes. Another note is that this was a test of the Adirondack Blue variety to see if it actually liked lower Alabama. And so after 1 year, 1 year's experiment here, which was really only about 3 months, in my garden, I can say, yes, they did well. We got quite a few good potatoes, quite a few large potatoes, and they've got a decent flavor. They taste pretty much just like white potatoes, except they have a lot more anthocyanins in them, which is apparently great for you because of antioxidants and all that good stuff. So one of the ways to learn things is to simply do the experiment. And, you know, the roots would normally compete with each other if they're growing in the same season, but these guys do not get harvested until fall here, and even winter. They'll, like, at the very, very last, right when it's gonna freeze, right before the freeze is when we pull these. These potatoes, on the other hand, they go into the ground in February before our last frost date and are being harvested right now in May. And that's just as these guys are starting to run. So this is we're kind of stacking the space over time. It's kind of a succession planting where we get one yield of staple crops early and a second yield of staple crops later. So I wanted to just give you a report on that experiment so you could see how cool it is and how it actually worked for us. Normally I would do something like plant beans underneath or alongside my root crops, or try to get a quick vegetable early in the spring. But this time I thought, let's get roots and roots because we eat a lot of roots. Let's see what we got. One of those interminable scenes. 1, 2,
3 potatoes.
Just keep going and going. Let's see. This scale here is kind of weird because it says one more. I can't adjust it. It doesn't seem to be adjustable, but it always has 1 pound on it. It's like Elijah's 1 pound or something. All right, so I always have to take a pound off when I weigh it. So we shoot shots of it and I'm like, it looks like it's 15 and then I'll write 14. Yeah. David's good. He's messing with us. There we go. Oh, hey now. We're up to 15 pounds. I don't know if I'm gonna get them all in there. These are gonna be dinner this evening. Not all of them, some of them. I mean, we eat a lot of potatoes, but we probably not gonna eat 20 something pounds of them. All right, what do we got? This is so satisfying. I don't know about you guys, but I like from the very point that I plant potatoes, I just can't wait to see how many I dig up. Like, I just want to dig. All I want to do is dig them. Dig and dig and dig. Okay, what do we got here? Okay, so we are right just below, so that says 24, which means we have 23 pounds of potatoes, which we wouldn't have had the yield of if we hadn't gone ahead and planted them in the yam bed as an experiment. And we've already pulled, let's see, 15 and a half pounds of them previously, mostly from that same bed. I had a couple out in the main gardens, but we got at least 15 pounds out of that bed already, so we're up to 15 plus 24, so 39 pounds of blue potatoes, which we wouldn't have had otherwise. And we've only pulled about maybe 2/3, maybe a half of that bed. That's not bad. Thanks for joining me. I hope this encourages you to just go ahead and experiment in your garden. You know, a lot of times we'll look stuff up online and you'll get all these answers, and most gardening sites are just garbage at this point. It's like they're all written for SEO and they're all trying to sell you stuff on Amazon, and they just really don't give you great information. They just copy the same stuff over and over and over again and just rewrite it slightly. So the best way to know if it's going to work in your garden is to just go ahead and try it and see. You know, should you plant root crops next to each other? No, definitely not. You know, should you plant this plant next to this one? Does this plant like this one? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Give it a try in your backyard. Your climate is going to differ from many of the other gardeners that you may read, and your own experiences in your backyard, your soil, your climate, etc., are going to be the best source of information that you can get. So just go around and test things. Like just give it a try. One year we tried planting sweet potatoes as an understory to our blueberry patch. The blueberries didn't like it at all. They have shallow roots, and digging up all the sweet potatoes disturbed them. They barely grew the entire year. Like the next year they were the same size. They obviously did not like sweet potatoes, but when we went ahead and deep mulched them and stopped planting sweet potatoes underneath them, they did great. So, you know, you learn these things by experimenting. If it had worked, we would have kept doing it, and it didn't work, so we stopped. So this year we know that if we make our mound for our yams and we plant potatoes early, we're gonna get a spring harvest, and then later we should get a fall harvest out of the yams. It works, and the yams look just fine. Their root system is not big enough to really be disturbed by pulling. So there you go. It's worth experimenting. So go ahead and try it. I'll see you all next time. And until then, may your thumbs always be green. That's not bad. Some point I've got to update this. I keep writing it down here. And this is the count of eggs right here. That's a lot of eggs.